The routers thumped like a war drum above the Everglades at 3 in the morning, the black water below swallowing every reflection of moonlight. Inside the open door of the Bell 412, Special Agent Aisha Jackson sat cuffed to the bench, wrists raw, blood threading down her forearms from the too-tight steel. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. Drop zone in 90 seconds. Aisha's heart hammered harder than the blades. She was 34, decorated, the only black woman ever to make SWAT lead in Miami-Dade. And right now she was cargo. The deputy marshal beside her name tag, Reed Kowalski, yanked the chain linking her cuffs to the floor bolt. "Time to learn gravity, princess," he sneered. Aisha locked eyes with him. "You sure you want to do this?" she asked, voice low, steady, the kind of calm that comes right before a hurricane hits land. Kowalski laughed, kicked the release. The chain snapped free. He shoved her toward the abyss. She didn't scream, she counted. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then the night took her. If that image just punched you in the chest, hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss a story that rips the mask off power and shows what real justice looks like when it finally stands up. Because this one's about to go places you won't believe. The fall lasted 4 seconds, 4 seconds of wind screaming past her ears, of swamp air thick with rotten possibility. Aisha twisted midair. Years of parachute training from Fort Bragg snapping her body into muscle memory even without silk. She spotted the moon glint off a cypress knee, aimed her boots, tucked her chin. Impact slammed the breath from her lungs, but the water was only waist deep. The cuffs bit deeper, but she was alive. The helicopter banked hard overhead, searchlight stabbing the darkness, certain they just erased a problem. They didn't know the problem had landed with a Glock 19 still taped. Under the bench seat standard SWAT protocol for contingency extraction. Aisha had palmed it during the shuffle at the pad. She sank beneath the surface, let the light sweep over, then rose like a gator, gun in bound hands, and started walking south through the sawgrass. Let's rewind 24 hours so you feel every betrayal that led to this moment. Aisha Jackson grew up in Liberty City, daughter of a nurse and a mechanic who taught her engines and empathy in the same breath. She could rebuild a carburetor by 12 and, quote, Maya Angelou by 13. Joined the army at 18, earned her tab at Ranger School, only the 7th woman ever, then came home to serve the city that raised her. 10 years on the force, medals for valor pinned to her chest like targets. Her squad called her locksmith because no door stayed closed when she wanted in. The brass called her problematic because she wouldn't look away when those doors hid dirty cops. The case that cooked her was Operation Glass House. 6 months undercover inside a ring of sheriff's deputies, running pills and guns out of the evidence locker. Aisha wore a wire, mapped drop points, recorded confessions over coffee and donuts. The ringleader, Deputy Chief Harlan Kowalski, yeah, same last name as the marshal on the chopper because blood sticks together thicker than oath. When the net closed, Harlan's little brother Kyle R. Marshall flipped the script, planted a burner phone in Aisha's locker, doctored timestamps, swore she was the inside player. Aya swallowed it whole. Judge signed the warrant. Midnight knock, battering ram, zip ties in front of her mama's house. The same night, Harlan skipped town with a duffel and a one-way to Belize. But here's where the story cracks open like a thunderhead. Aisha knew every safe house, every stash, every dirty account. And while the Kowalski brothers thought they'd tossed her into the swamp like chum, she was already moving. Cuffs or no cuffs. She had a plan stitched into the lining of her soul. She slogged 3 miles through the glades, mosquitoes feasting, gators sliding off logs with ancient patience. Dawn bled pink across the sky when she reached the old Miccosukee fish camp. Uncle Jonah, retired force recon. Her mother's cousin sat on the dock, cleaning a shotgun older than she was. He took one look at the cuffs, the blood, the fire in her eyes, and didn't ask questions. Bolt cutters made quick work of the steel. Coffee and Johnny cakes followed. Harlan's at the fishing cabin on Chokoloskee, Jonah said, sliding her a satellite printout. Kyle's circling back tonight to tie up loose ends. They think the swamp hate you. Aisha flexed her wrists, scars already rising. Let's disappoint them. What followed was 48 hours of pure shadow warfare. Aisha ghosted through the 10,000 islands in a stolen airboat, engine muffled with burlap. She hit 2 stash houses at dusk, recovered burner laptops, flash drives, a ledger with Harlan's handwriting looping like a noose. Every byte uploaded to a dead-drop cloud before she torched the buildings. Flames painted the mangroves orange. Smoke signals the Kowalskis couldn't read yet. She left one message spray-painted on a cinder block wall. "I'm still breathing. Word travels fast when you want it to." By midnight, every cop scanner in 3 counties crackled with officer down. Calls that weren't real, decoys Aisha triggered from a cloned radio. Confusion is a weapon. While Kyle scrambled teams to fake crime scenes, Aisha slipped into the Chokolosky cabin wearing night vision and a grudge. Harlan sat at a table counting cash, Kyle pacing with a satellite phone. She could have ended it then. 2 taps sent a mass, case closed. But Aisha wanted more than bodies. She wanted the system to choke on its own lies. She waited until Kyle stepped onto the porch for a smoke. One chokehold later, he was zip-tied with his own cuffs poetic. Harlan lunged for a pistol. Aisha disarmed him with a baton strike to the wrist that cracked like kindling. She sat them side by side on the couch, duct tape over mouths, and hit record on 3 separate body cams she lifted from evidence lock-up months ago, cameras the department swore were inoperable. "Insurance." "Confess," she said, voice flat as the blade she pressed to Harlan's throat. "Every name, every dime, every body you buried." Harlan's eyes bulged. Kyle thrashed. 37 minutes later, she had it all: dates, offshore accounts, the judge who signed her warrant for a lakeside condo, the DA who looked away for campaign cash. She uploaded the files to every major news outlet in Florida with a single subject line: Glass House Falls. Then she did something no one saw coming. She uncuffed Kyle, handed him his service weapon, and stepped back. "You want to finish what you started in the chopper?" she asked. "Go ahead, 1 bullet. But the second you pull that trigger, every phone in the country plays your confession on loop. Your choice." Kyle's hand shook so hard, the barrel tapped his own forehead. Harlan screamed into the tape. Kyle dropped the gun, sank to his knees, and cried like a child who just learned monsters are real. Sunrise found Aisha on the cabin roof, watching FBI choppers descend like angry hornets. She raised her hands empty and smiled for the news drones already circling. The agents who cuffed her this time used regulation steel, read her rights, called her ma'am. Harlan and Kyle were dragged out in shackles, faces pixelated on every screen from Miami to Manhattan. The ledger led to 23 arrests before lunch. The judge resigned by dinner time. The DA turned state's evidence faster than you can say plea deal. But the part that broke the internet. Body cam footage leaked that afternoon, grainy, infrared from the fish camp. Uncle Jonah had worn one under his shirt. You see Aisha emerge from the swamp, cuffs dangling like bracelets, eyes glowing green in the night vision. She kisses Jonah on the cheek, whispers something that makes the old Marine laugh through tears, then disappears into the reeds. Caption someone added, "Armed officers don't need parachutes. They need justice." Aisha's trial lasted 11 days. The jury deliberated 43 minutes, not guilty on every count. The foreman, a black grandmother from over town, stood up after the verdict and said, "We ain't returning the sister they tried to drown. We returning the warrior they forgot they trained." The courtroom erupted. Aisha's mother sobbed in the gallery. Her captain, newly appointed, old mentor, pinned her shield back on her chest right there on the courthouse steps. She could have retired a hero, taken the book deals the movie offers. Instead, she started the Locksmith Foundation, teaching girls in Liberty City how to pick locks, literal and figurative, how to fall from helicopters and land running, how to turn cuffs into crown. 6 months later, a package arrived at the precinct addressed to whoever rides shotgun on helo runs. Inside, a tiny parachute keychain and a note in Aisha's handwriting. "Next time you throw a sister out, make sure she can't fly." Security footage shows every deputy in the hangar reading it, then quietly clipping parachutes to their own belts. Some habits die harder than others. And that's the story they still whisper in squad rooms from Homestead to Jacksonville. How one woman fell 3,000 feet without a chute and rose higher than any of them will ever climb. How the swamp didn't swallow her, it baptized her. How the system tried to erase her name and ended up etching it in granite. Now, I need to hear from you. From which part of the country are you watching this video? Drop your city, your state, your story in the comments, because every mile between us is another mile Aisha flew on her own wings. Hit that bell so you're here when we tell the next one. Until then, keep your eyes on the sky. You never know who's falling or who's about to land on their feet.